art can change our future. Travel with me, artist John Dyer and artist Joanne Short. Be inspired by endangered environments, plants and animals, and learn about tribal culture. Paint, connect, exhibit and change. It's a last chance to paint.
Day 3 of Precious Africa. This morning, it's all about the animals. We've come out really early to watch the sunrise. It's like a big red ball over there. So hopefully we're going to go and find some animals for you. We're going to tell you a few facts all about them. And let's enjoy it.
Some monkeys up this tree. Can you see them?
So Joe's filming a giraffe, which
I haven't found her.
trying to, and behind her are some ostriches as well. And our Land Rover's having a problem with its battery at the moment, so Martin is very busily trying to get that going.
Be pushing.
Yeah, we're just gonna push the Land Rover back to try and bump start
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So here it goes. I'll give it a push. So we're pushing. It's not working yet. One stays very heavy. Well, thanks for helping.
I'm not stopping.
Oh, we've got some assistance now. Land Rover Defender weighs over 2.5 tons, so this is tricky.
But
So in another plan, we're going to be pushed by this Toyota Land Cruiser, just on the edge of the bumper.
yeah, that's more like it.
Yeah, but we're on. Hey Martin, that's great. We just need to buy a new battery. So Joe, is it true that the black and white stripes on zebras are so that when the flies, the tsetse flies, go to the zebra, they actually fly straight through the black stripes because they're holes, so the zebra doesn't get bitten? Is that right?
Well, not really, not quite. The black and the white is to confuse the flies. So the flies think that the black is a hole, so the chances are it's less likely to land on the zebra.
But it's not actually a hole.
It's not actually a hole, no. That's really funny, zebra crossing.
So our guy just pointed out that this is actually a zebra crossing. Look at this incredible elephant. See how it's using its trunk? It sucks up water up to 8 litres at a time. It puts it straight into its mouth, and it also picks up the weed from that beautiful lagoon it's in to eat. These are warthogs. So this is buffalo. This is one of the big 5. Look at it, it's huge with its horns. They're actually a really dangerous animal, and they will work as a herd. So it's an animal to avoid. You don't want to get caught up with a few buffalo.
A herd of buffalo are also called a gang, which is really funny. But they're so dangerous, and they can be so heavy that they are the weight of a grand piano.
So, team to the rescue, we need a new battery for our Land Rover. It's not been a big deal because we got it going, but Elizabeth has come out. You met Elizabeth yesterday in the video, and she's got a new battery for us, so we're all good to go.
Oh, look at the hippos, and look at that bird, cheeky bird, sitting on the back of the hippo. And then to the right hand side, I think that's a baby hippo.
So these elephants are wallowing, literally having a mud bath. So the mud will act as a sunscreen for them. Can you see that with the trunk? Throwing it up onto their back, which would get completely roasted during the day. There's a baby underneath. Yeah, mum's just giving a bit more mud to the baby. Beautiful. These are pelicans, and Martin says they're bigger than chickens. So that's your fun fact of the day. They're preening themselves to keep their feathers in good condition so that they can fly. I feel a fun fact coming up by Phoebe about ostriches sticking their head in the sand. Is this true, Phoebe?
Yes.
They actually put their head in the sand.
Yeah, they do.
So they put their head in the sand because they're feeding and they're looking for bugs and insects. So that's very interesting, isn't it? Look at the size of those legs. This superb bird with its iridescent blue plumage is in fact called a superb starling. Look at it, it's just beautiful. So look at these beautiful elephants. We've got some in the background on this island in the lake and one in the foreground that's eating. And an elephant, get this, it can drink 240 litres of water a day. Just imagine that all lined up in your classroom, 240 litres. That's what one elephant can drink. So we're at this beautiful location looking across it's an island. Look, that's where the elephants were. They've wandered off and they're in the swampland now. So I'm going to try and get the colours of the sky and the sense of this beautiful lagoon on the island, and then I'm going to dot the animals in. And I'll probably use some reference of that, and there's loads of birds around. So here I go. I start with my white paint and some colour. It's so hot here, my paint is going to dry really quickly, so I work really quickly because of that. But also, it's actually really nice to work fast when you're painting sometimes. And often in life we set out with a pencil drawing and end up colouring it in, but you could try being slightly more vigorous. Maybe not as much that the paint goes everywhere in your classrooms, please don't do that, but it can be a very energetic experience as you start the painting, and very reactive as well. So I can immediately see I need more colour here. I bring this sort of greeny blues down, and I'm blending the paint and mixing the colour as I go. So I'm not trying to mix it in the paint palette first. I'm actually allowing the colours to mix on my canvas. Now I know what colours this is going to make, but you can learn, and the only way to learn is by painting. And I'm painting the African landscape. It's a super important environment that needs a lot of protection and understanding.
So if you look down in the foreground, there's some beautiful zebra munching away, and over there are the elephants, and they're sort of lying down in the heat of the day in the water to try and cool down. And all around us there are blue, iridescent blue and yellow birds flying round and round.
So I'm now developing the next part of my painting, and you can see I'm just bringing in some of the colours of this landscape behind me as the paint dries. And once I've done this, then I can start to look to bring in some of the foreground elements like the trees that all the birds are on.
So what is it that you're doing now on your painting?
I'm battling with the wind mainly. It's so windy up here, it's unbelievable. Africa's a windy place, guys. I'm just putting the wildlife in here, and as predicted, all the elephants have moved here, but they're quite hard to see, so I'm using a field guide. These are great, you can get these very inexpensively online, and it just shows the outlines of all the animals, and I've got many of these, so I'm using these to get the shape right for an elephant.
When we first arrived here, that's where the elephants were actually standing.
So I'm just putting the front leg on of this elephant. My brush, to be honest, is a bit thick, and the drying African sun and the drying wind isn't really helping because I'm not managing to get it into a point, it's just going really sticky. However, you do need to use quite small brushes for your detail, pointed brushes, and flat, wide brushes for your background. Each brush has a special case, but those are your two basic ones, and those are the two that I use. I'm just finishing off these elephants. I'll pop some eyes on them in a minute, but basically, if you come in there, bring the camera in here, you can see I'm just using some lighter coloured paint just to put some highlights on their bodies, just to see where the light, where the sunshine is catching them, just to give them some form. And the only other thing I'm going to have to do is add an eye. It's still incredibly windy, but the eye is about, let's have a look, it's about here. I've come back to base because it was just too hot and windy at the top of the hill. But I established my painting, and now I'm using my field guides, like I mentioned before, to add in some birds and some colour. So I'm just bringing my painting to a finish, and this is all water, the blue area, so I'm just putting in some reflections, and I've put some grass in here. So if you come in really close here, so I've put some grass in here which the elephant will be eating. So I've put some grass going down into the water, but obviously the grass isn't going down, that's a reflection. And to make it look like it's actually a reflection, if you put little bits of white paint on top, just like this, then it puts it back into the water. It's a really good trick. So we've got some questions coming in to Last Chance to Paint, which I'm really happy to try and answer for you. We've got one here from Mount Hawk Academy, and the question is, why did you choose to visit Africa? Well, we can't ignore Africa in our Last Chance to Paint series of work, and in particular the two northern right rhino, the last two northern right rhino on planet Earth, is something that drew me to Africa, and we'll be looking at those in a few days' time. So that's the specific reason. And what art materials are you using for your art in Africa? I'm using acrylic paints. They're great to work with, they dry really quickly, you can get them on and off an aircraft legally, and I recommend you all try acrylic paints. So I've finished my painting of Amboseli with all the animals, particularly the elephants that we could see. And this is from the observation hill. I hope you like it, and I hope you will all do a painting of Africa, Precious Africa as we're calling it. Choose a subject that you love. Elephants, or it might be the zebra, or it might be a mix of birds and animals like I've done. Do your own one, and please send it in to our World Gallery so we can exhibit it online. And together, we're bearing witness to what we might lose, what we risk losing with climate change. Let's be the change. Let's not lose any more species, and let's make our world a better place. Got another question that's come in here from school. This is from Heaton St Barnabas. Thank you so much for sending it in. And the children there want to know what I've been eating since I arrived in Kenya. Well, I did see before I came that you could buy insects on the menu to eat, but I haven't seen those myself, and it's very normal food. So to give you an example, this morning I had an omelette with potatoes and vegetables and fried tomatoes. It was delicious. So another question from Heaton St Barnabas Primary School is, what steps have been taken to protect the elephants? Elephants are interesting. They are protected by law. Very, very serious offence to harm an elephant. So they are protected, and that is recognised all across Kenya. But the elephants themselves are rather sort of trapped because of roads and boundaries. So the elephants in their own right are causing a bit of a problem. So the elephants are actually sometimes captured and moved to other parts of the country, which is really great. So don't worry about the elephants, legal protection, and they're being put into other parts, so the elephant population is doing okay. We've got a field guide with us, and we've managed to work out that these are birds. It's a very big, serious, there's an ant just went up Joe's sleeve.